Welcome to our session, Near Zero Downtime Disaster Recovery and High Availability with Libelle BusinessShadow. My name is Jillian Newberry, and I'm a Territory Manager in my 10th year with Libelle. I'm joined by my colleague, Puneet Khatri, a Senior Technical Consultant and Head of the U.S. Services Team, in his 8th year with Libelle. Today, we'd like to discuss the common causes of downtime, the costs of downtime, how a robust disaster recovery process can be built, and the features of our tool, Libelle BusinessShadow, which answers the need for various iterations of DRHA concepts. First, I'd like to review the common causes of system failures. A plurality of failures can be attributed to software errors, followed closely by user errors. Hardware errors also make up a decent percentage of downtime causes. However, all of these categories can be further broken down into events like natural disasters, improper or unexpected maintenance, intrusions, cyber attacks, and more. All of these threats to system stability can and do impact businesses of all sizes and all industries. The impact of an interruption to the daily routine of a business cannot be overstated. Recovering from such situations can be incredibly complex and time-consuming. From determining responsibilities to initiating technical restarts, there is a significant amount of planning and know-how involved in recovery. Many DR plans are written once and forgotten about, leading to outdated procedures and loss of knowledge. This translates to a loss of time, and that loss of time and the interruption to workflow translates directly into cost hits to the business. The cost of downtime due to disasters and breaches is not only significant, it is rising. As of 2021, the cost of business outages for 40% of outages ranged from $100,000 to $1 million. 17% of outages cost more than $1 million to resolve. Meanwhile, breaches can be even more expensive. In 2023, the U.S. is leading the world in the cost of breaches at a running average and an all-time high of $9.48 million per incident on average. Healthcare breaches are by far the most expensive across all industries, followed by financial organizations. Additionally, the intangible cost of the reputational impact a breach can have on an organization cannot be overstated, and it constitutes one of the highest costs of a breach. Finally, the cost of cyber insurance continues to rise, making it even more expensive to protect from these losses. Our answer to the need for readiness is Libelle BusinessShadow. BusinessShadow has been on the market for over 25 years and remains in active development to respond to evolving needs. BusinessShadow is a software solution to manage the replication from production to standby. We have several features that set us apart. First, most DR solutions focus on recovery point objectives and recovery time objectives, or RPO and RTO. Libelle adds a third objective, Recovery Consistency Objective, or RCO. Modern landscapes are complex, and recovery can look different for each component. Libelle answers this by consistently recovering all pieces of your environment. Logical errors can create system failure. Libelle uses our time funnel principle to delay mirroring, allowing response time to such errors. Finally, our solution is application and distance independent, as well as being compatible with on-premise, cloud, or hybrid setups. The components of basic mirroring include the database mirroring, file system mirroring, and IP address and hostname mirroring. This provides for a complete DRHA mirror system, regardless of the location or infrastructure type and size. For example, our solution allows for mirroring to multiple targets. In the graphic seen here, the various targets have different time delays, resulting from their differing locations. The on-premise backup has a 20-minute delay, while the secondary located backup has a 24-hour delay. The principle can also be applied to consolidate DR from several locations into one central location. Another feature offered is for long distances. Using a combination of high compression, parallel archive shipping, and very large packages, BusinessShadow can create mirrors anywhere, from regional to continental and even intercontinental. The switchover process has multiple uses. Not only do we offer automatic failover, but we also handle a variety of other use cases. The open read-only use case allows for the use of a system while a disaster or other failure is being investigated or during scheduled downtime. The standby system can be accessed in read-only mode for use in evaluation and reporting. We also support a use case for detached standby, allowing for the refresh of SAP systems, creation of systems, etc. In the case of taking backups, rather than taking them from the productive system, the standby system can serve as a source for the backup, allowing for a zero downtime backup. A defined switch use case shows up in instances where upgrades are required on the productive system. Rather than scheduled downtime, users can switch to the standby system, work can be performed on production, then the mirroring can resume. Migration work can be taxing, time-consuming, and error-prone. BusinessShadow provides option for easy migrations, again, without downtime. Lift and shift migrations have become increasingly popular. BusinessShadow has been used successfully to move to various clouds, and many clients use the cloud for their standby systems permanently. Landscapes of all kinds are easily managed with BusinessShadow, be they homogeneous or heterogeneous. Regardless of database or operating system, all of your configurations are easily accessed and managed using a single BusinessShadow user interface. Disaster recovery and high availability are often talked about together because they do go hand in hand. ABAC mirroring with BusinessShadow allows for a complete solution, creating both a high availability and a disaster recovery system from a single source. Libelle also offers an add-on for mirroring flat files, FSShadow, which fully integrates into the BusinessShadow workflow and user interface for seamless use. Finally, the user interface allows for grouping of configurations together. This lets users easily manage multiple mirrors that relate together. I'll now pass it over to Puneet to demonstrate the tool and discuss the technical aspects in further detail.
All right, so I'm presenting currently my screen where I have this BusinessShadow graphical user interface opened up. Here you can see that it's a browser-based GUI, graphical user interface, which can be accessed by just typing a URL with the host name and the port number. So before I talk more about the configuration setup and all, I want to talk a little bit about the installation process. So this installation of this software is happening at the operating system level, where I'm going to have two processes running on each host. One is primary and one is secondary. In this case, I'm talking about A to B replication, where primary is a productive instance and secondary is the DR instance where my DR database is running. And there I have two processes running on each server. So if you can see that in this screen, I logged into the putty session at OS level, and I'm logged in as Oracle because the primary database product type is Oracle, and same that on the secondary side, it's also Oracle. So if I run some commands here to show you that there are some Oracle processes running on both source and target. So this is my primary, and I will run this command to show you that there are Oracle processes running. And here, the Libelle processes are running as LPS, which is called Libelle Platform Services. So they are installed on separate file system inside the Libelle directory so that you can segregate this from any other software installed on the host. This is lightweight software. which can be installed within the storage space of 5 gig or less, and it has to run with the database user. So here in my case, since I have the Oracle database, the process is running as Oracle users. Similarly, if there is another database type, let's say if I talk about DB2 database, then the agent will run with DB2 SID user. And if it's MS SQL, then it can be running with MS SQL user. Similarly for PostgreSQL or MaxDB database, so those agents will run on with a respective user. So I have this agent running with the dedicated user and running on dedicated port. So during the installation, we will define that it's running for on which particular port, and once it's installed, it will be started internally automatically using that port. And I have the same service on the secondary side as well, which is running on the same port. So it is necessary that both processes between primary and secondary, they run using the same port. And once it's running, then I can go to my browser where I can just type the URL running with the port 7100 and access the GUI. Now this GUI can be user master controlled as well. We can also create users so that it is user restricted. There is a possibility also to make create a restrictions based on LDAP or Active Directory restrictions. So there are different methods of logging into this GUI. And then once you log in into the GUI, then the first screen you will see the configurations. Now these configurations I have created. Here in the GUI itself, we can see that there is a plus sign to add a configuration. When I click on plus sign, here I have different products. These products are part of Business Shadow. Today mainly we are talking about DB Shadow and FS Shadow. So if I am monitoring or I am setting up the replication for any given database, I will select option DB Shadow. And then here you can see all these databases which are covered as part of this tool. So we support all the different databases which is listed here. As Jillian also mentioned in her presentation, that we support different databases, but all of them can be added in one single console or one single graphical user interface. So it becomes easier that the one graphical user interface will have all the different configuration listed in the as a product type, or there is a possibility to create a groups, and within the groups there is a possibility to add those configurations, so that there are a lot of different ways to manage the overall view of your infrastructure and your DR scenarios in your environment. So if I want to create a DB Shadow configuration for Oracle, I'll just select Oracle and then click next here. Whether I want to select whether it's a backup only or Business Shadow standard, I will select that and click next. And then I have to give name and description and all these details in order to create the configuration. So this is quite intuitive and very easy to create the configuration. As part of the installation, we will also provide a documentation that how you can create the new configuration and what are the different possibilities and different settings. Everything is part of the documentation as well, and during the implementation we will also help and support in order to create the different configurations. So here I'm going to cancel it because I already have the configuration created, and this is my demo system where I have the configuration created. So you observe that there were different view. I had grid view, which will show me all the configurations currently I have on my graphical user interface. As of now, I have one demo configuration for Oracle database, and another one is for flat file replication. And I'm going to speak about both in detail in this presentation today. First, I will talk about Oracle. So Oracle, as I mentioned before, the processes are running at the operating system level where database is running, and they are running with the dedicated user. So each process, Libelle process for BS kernel, they are running with Oracle processes in order to make the connections and also to run the overall task of DR using this tool. So once the configuration is created, this is the first screen you will see here. On the left side, it's my primary box within the circle with the host name. You can see Aura Prim1, that's my primary Oracle database. And on the right side, it's secondary database, which is Aura Sec1. These are my two different hosts, and this is a pretty neat graphical view where you can see that the primary on left side and the secondary on the right side, and there is a funnel in between, which is pointing from primary to secondary. And the significance of this funnel is also very important. What it does, also in this funnel, you notice that there are few green dots. So each green dots are the changelog files. So the overall concept of setting up the new DR configuration is that once we configure this tool, the initial step is always performing a full initial sync between the primary and the secondary. So in this tool, when we start the initial sync, what it does is that it is going to create a backup of primary database, and then that backup will be transferred over the network on the secondary database. And once it's restored on the secondary database, then the database on the secondary will be in the mounted status where it just keep applying the change log files. And then on the source side, which is generating the change log files, keep getting transferred on the DR side, and these change logs will be applied on the target side, and this is happening constantly every with regular frequency. Now the frequency is something which database itself decides sometime, or there is a option in this tool where we can also define that after how much time the change logs needs to be generated, and all that information is also available. So within this large green circle, you will see the small green circle with letter A on the left side and letter R on the right side. They are the jobs and processes which runs on the respective host. A means archiver job and R means recover job. So since on the primary side, we are not doing active recovery, that's why we don't see the R job on the primary side. So our job is always on the secondary host where change logs are keep getting applied by the recovery process. So that's why we have letter R mentioned on the secondary side, and on the primary side, archiver process keep generating the switch log files, and then transferring those change log files from primary to secondary. These are the tasks of these small A and R circles. Now here in this screen also at the bottom you can see that the archiver job and recover job, and when was the last archive switch happened, those timings are also mentioned here. And we also keep checking the structure of the database. Now the importance of checking the structure is also um, needed, and it was compulsory because on the primary side there is a possibility that the database is keep growing and there are new data files getting added. So in order to avoid doing the complete initial sync every time when there is new data file added on the source side, we perform a structure check which will check the structure of primary database, and if there is any new data file added on the source side, it will transfer that data file over the network on the DR side and restore it on the target side, so that archiver and recover process, they both keep running seamlessly without any issues of missing any data file during the process. So we take care of structure changes as well. Now, on the right side in the recover job, you can see the current standby database time, number of recovery files currently available there, which is pending to be applied, and the recover delay. Now, this recover delay concept is very helpful and it's needed because of logical errors. So in this tool, we have option where you can set the recover delay. In my configuration, I have 240 minutes of recover delay, which is around 4 hours of recover delay. So that's why you can see the timing of the database is also 4 hours behind than the production time. And what it does that we just wait for that time to reach before applying any change logs. So if there is any logical error happen between these 4 hours, you still have chance to recover the target database, avoiding those logical error and bring the target database up in the read-only mode and perform any actions on the target database. So this is mainly developed in order to capture the logical errors or avoid the logical errors to be applied on the target side. So recover delay is pretty handy app tool available in this business shadow. Now this was the dashboard which is showing you current status of overall the DR setup, which is currently active and running. So let me show you at the OS level how the database look like. On the primary side, if I make an SQL plus connection, I will run the some queries just to show that what is the current status of database on the primary side. So this query will show me that it is in read write mode. Now the same query I will run on the DR side, which is target side, and that will show me that what is the current database status. So here, if I second, so here I will run the same query which I ran on the primary side, and here the database status is mounted. So in Oracle, when the database status is mounted, it means it is performing constant recovery. Database not is not in read write mode, and it's not available for any productive actions because there are change logs which keep getting applied. So this is the concept also which help us to achieve near zero downtime of any DR scenario or any disaster recovery. If there is anything which is causing production system to be not available, then your production system on the DR side can be available with minimum downtime required, because we are not performing the complete database restore in order to bring the DR side up and being productive, rather than we are just applying the change logs, which can be as depends on the recover delay. But here in my case, it's just 12 change log files which will be applied in less than 30 minutes, and then I can just bring the DR database up and running in less than couple of hours in downtime, and make it productive. So that's why this overall process is very intuitive and very easy, and also can be achieved from using this tool. How it is possible in this tool, and we have everything automated in this tool using the options of different switchover. So now, and I'm going to show you these options, how the switchover can happen. And in order to do that, I'm going to, before I'm going to do switchover, I want to just show you a few settings which can be editable. These settings which talks about my configuration name, what is the server name on primary, what is the server name on secondary, my Oracle home information, database name, some basic information about database is needed in the setting, and that is something which we once we create the configuration, these details will be provided. What is the archive recover path in order to save the change log files? So this is the main information about the database. Then in the copy information, we have to provide whether we are taking the backup of files, number of parallel processes. Now this is also important in order to perform initial sync, how we can speed up the overall copy process is by having the parallel copy processes. There are also possibilities that we can just simply sync and apply the changelog files, and you can perform the manual database backup and restore in case your mechanism or the technology what you have is much faster than doing the backup and restore. You can perform restore by your manually, and here we can just select these option of external backup, copy and restore, and then run the copy, which will basically just apply the changelog files immediately after the sync is done, which will basically just um, transferring the archive files over the network on the DR side and just keep applying using the recover process. In archive or recover process also we have different settings. So here this is important option. It's called maximum switch time. So let's say if you are performing restore by yourself, then here we are going to uh, select these options of external backup, copy and restore, and then it will automatically pick up the right log files needed in order to continue with the recovery process and make the overall DR process in sync. Second option here is archiver. In archiver, we have this parameter called switch log file. What it does is that it makes sure that if the database is not generating log file, let's say every 20 minutes, and this parameter is something which we can easily edit it, and this is going to help us to achieve those recovery point objectives. So here I can, for me, it's my recovery point is 20 minutes. Then I have to make sure that the database generating minimum one log file every 20 minutes. So if it's not generating automatically by itself, then the archiver process in this tool will do the force log switch, and it will generate a log file and then transfer it over the network. Again, if there are a lot of log files getting generated because of the lot of jobs or business processes running on the primary database, then we also have a parallel archiver process which will copy parallelly those files over the network to the DR side. Similarly, on the recover side, I mentioned the parameter about the recover delay. We also take care of the path which we maintain in the archiver path, this file system cleanup also. So once the files, changelog files transferred on the DR side, then those files can be deleted on the source. So with this, the file system cleanup is also automatically handled via this tool. And there are a lot of different other options as well. Let's say user mapping or flat file directory mapping in case there is a directory structure which is different. We also have a cron table where we can set up a cron jobs and all those kind of things. Messages here will give us latest information that the log files, what is happening with the process. The archiver process will give us information that the archive change log files. Here in this case you can see that it transferred on the DR side, and the recover will show me that this file is applied or not. So that messages box is going to be helpful in order to see what is currently happening, and it's auto refreshing. If I want to refresh it manually, I can just select get more messages, and if there are more messages which is available, it's basically reading the files or message file from the operating system level and presenting it here in the tool to show what if everything is going fine or not. If there is any error, it will turn into red, and it can send an alert also. So we have a alert alarm mechanism as well. If there is any alert or error happen during the operations, then you will get a notification in the email. So you don't have to sit in front of the tool, rather just keep doing the other activities or work you supposed to do, and then it will just send a alarm and email to you, and you will just then you can log into the graphical user interface and check what exactly is the issue. So these messages are going to be very helpful. There are different filter option as well. You can filter by date, you can filter by job, and you can filter by source as well. So these will help in order to troubleshoot the issues. Now if I go back to dashboard and show you the switchover process, but here in the switchover process, Jillian also mentioned in her presentation that we have different switchover type. Uh, Point in time is one of the popular one, which is actually going to be used in case of real disaster, where let's say your complete data center is crashed because of some natural um, issues, and because of that your production instance host is not reachable at all. In that case, the option of switch point in time or to end of log will be used. Point in time, you have option to select the time till what point in time you want to recover the target database. To end of log will apply all the log files which are currently available on the funnel side, on this in this funnel specifically. And then we have this option called define switches as well. Define switch option is going to be used for planned activity. Let's say if you have server maintenance going on which is planned during the weekend or for a week, if there is any maintenance activity is planned, so you can do define switch. And what it does is it just swap the roles between those two servers. The dr become primary and primary become dr. You can all the users will log in into the dr boxes. Of course there will be some network adjustment and all those settings needs to be done at the network level, but once that's done, all the users will log in into the box. They will not understand what exactly happened in the backend because they will log in as usual. It's just that the dr box will become the production, and they will perform the jobs and business actions in the new production host which is dr. And now that dr box will generate the change log files, and those change log files will be applied on the production environment, so that you are not going to lose any data during the define switch. And s- it takes little bit of time. When I say it's taking time little bit, then this option to end of log, because here we are doing role reversal. We are shutting down the production instance, bringing that production instance as a mounted state in order to recover the files, and then doing the uh, production dr box up as a production. So that takes a little bit more time than to end of logs, but still it's not that much long time. Then you are doing complete restore of the database. So I'm going to show you this option called to end of logs, which is faster, and show you the overall process how it is happening in the messages. So I selected this option called to end of logs, and I also shown you here that current operation mode on the secondary side is mounted and the primary is read write. Nothing will happen into the primary box because we are not touching the primary in this two end of logs. The primary will remain as it is, and after this operation the dr synchronization of dr process will break, and in order to re-establish we have to perform the complete initial sync. So I'll click on next here. It will just confirm some details, and then I click on switch, press OK, and now switch over is started. Now here also in this screen we will see this that switching is happening. Also in the messages we will see updated message that when it is started. It's just trying to get some information in the backend, but since it's working in the backend as a job, I will quickly talk about the FS shadow, and we'll come back to this Oracle configuration, and also going to show you that how the database status is changed. In this view also you can now see this message called switching. So the job is actually triggered, and in the messages also you will see the recover to end of logs has started, and now it is going to do all these processes which is needed in order to achieve that action. So we'll come back to this. Before that, let's talk about the flat file replication. So flat file replication configuration also look similar, but here the product which is chosen is FS Shadow. Overall process is same here also in FS Shadow, where we perform first initial sync, and then it will just create the change log. But here we are talking about the flat file. So which flat files will be considered? That is part of the setting. In the settings here, I have this flat file for my demo system. I have this um, directory called Puneet_demo. Here inside that, whatever is included like subdirectories, files, everything is part of the this flat file replication. So if there is any file created inside Puneet demo on the source side, then that file will be considered as a change. The archiver process is going to uh, create the changelog file for that, and it will transfer it over as a changelog file based on the recover delay and then apply it on the DR side. So here also we have switchover options similar to DB Shadow as well, which is having the same concept of changing the role reversal and everything. And once the settings are done, then the archiver will keep reading the information from that file system. During the initial sync, it is going to perform the complete copy. And once the copy is done, then the archiver will keep checking the that particular file system, and it will, if there is any change is needed, let's say if new file is added on the source side, then it will be marked as a change, and the archiver will transfer the file over the network to the target side, and the recover process will apply it. And if the new file is created, it will be created on the target side. And I'm going to show you how it works. So let me come out of this SQL plus prompt here and go into the TMP directory, which is currently inside that. I have the folder called Puneet demo. And then here inside, I'm going to create a new file. So let's say test with today's date, which is 0831. And now I have created this file. All right. This file is here. For today's date, and the same file system or same directory I have on the target side as well. And we will notice that that particular file which I created on the source is not available on the target side. So my goal is that the tool should automatically create this file which is created here. So it does not only take care of the files or folder gets created, it also takes care of the content of the file. So if I edit this file and add new text into that, that will also be created, and I will try to show you that example as well. Now I will go back here. Here I have recover delay of 240 minutes. So in order to see the result quickly, I'm going to change that recover delay, edit it, and make it to 0. So whatever the changes happened on the source side, it will be, this is just a recommendation but not necessary. So with this approach, recover delay 0, whatever the changes were happening on the source, it will automatically and immediately will be applied. And the next switch also, it's 20 minutes, but what I'm going to do on the dashboard side, I will create some log files. So with this log files, it is going to uh, trigger that change which I created on the source side, and it will create some log files which will be transferred over the network on the DR side, and this recover process will be applying those logs. So here in the messages you can see that this log is 73, which is recently copied. So we will wait for this log to be applied on the target side, and then we will go back to the target side on that file system and see if that particular file which I created on the source is also created on the DR side or not. But now let's go back to this DB shadow configuration. Now here you remembered I triggered the switch over to end of logs, and after that execution is completed for switching. You can see that the funnel direction is changed now, and the role also reversal, but nothing is currently running. To end of log is basically going to break the replication, and in order to resync the replication, I have to perform complete initial sync, because in this case both source and target, they are both live. And they are currently available. So if I again make SQL plus connection, and I will run the same query again here. Currently I'm on the source. So in the source, we know that nothing is changed. It is in read write. Now here on the DR side, if I make a connection to SQL plus and run the query, and here you can see now database is in read write mode. So this is a classic example of DR switchover process using the two end of log approach. As I mentioned earlier also, if we are using two end of log approach, in that case, the DR sync is broken. And in order to achieve it back or resync it back, I need to go back here, go into maintenance, change the mirror direction, press OK. Now mirror direction is changed, and then I have to start copy. Before starting copy, I have to make sure on the target side database is down, shut down, because it is going to bring the database again in the mounted status and then do the complete restore. And after that, it will keep applying the change logs. So I will do shutdown immediate to shut down the database. And once the database is shut down, I will go back here in the tool and click on start copy, and the copy will be starting for the complete database. Again, it is going to create a backup, and then once the backup is transferred on the DR side, it will be restored, and then the recovery process will start applying the change log. So the current status is that the recovery or the overall sync between the DR is uh, is broken. Now database is shut down here on the target side. I'll go back here and then click on start copy, press OK. Copy job is starting. Again, I'm going to go into messages. Here the messages will be getting updated, and it will show me that the copy or backup job is started. And of course, the overall time for a backup restore and the initial sync will take time. And here also you can see that the copy is running, and you can see that in the funnel also that the transferring process between the two systems are happening in this configuration. Now let's go back to the FS Shadow. In FS Shadow, you can see that those dots are completely gone. It means those change logs which were waiting because of recover delay, they are all applied. Now let's go back on that particular file system and that directory and see if that file is created or not. And here it is. So that file which I created on the source is now also available on the DR side. So that's a very good example which I could show that how the flat file application is going on. So here we don't have any limit in the setting. You can add multiple entries. There are different options if you want to clean up, if you want to just include the directory permissions. We also take care of the permissions. So whatever the user permission were there on the source side, we will have the same permissions on the DR side as well. So this flat file application also work in the similar way of database is just replicating the flat files. So yeah, with that, I think I have shown you whatever I wanted to. If there is any question, yes, feel free to text us, email us, and we will happy to help in that case. Thank you so much, and that's it from my side.
Thank you, Puneet. And yes, please do find our contact information here. You can reach out to myself or Puneet with any questions you may have. You can also find more information at our website, www.libella.com. And we also have links to our socials in the bottom corner there as well. We hope you've enjoyed our presentation, and we look forward to speaking with you more about your needs. Thank you.